something ad lib.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Was that it?
Anyway,
was that the extent of your effort to start with a joke?
It's been a long day today.
If I'd known that, I'd have tried something, but I never got that word in edgeways.
We're becoming so meta now that we're actually making jokes about the ad libs at the beginning. So it's kind of like it's on a very deep level here. Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome to the Interesting Modelling Company Sunday service. Sorry, just adjusting my MacBook here. It's very cold in the workshop tonight, as always. Anyway,
have you still got holes in the windows?
I'm sorry.
Have you still got holes in the windows?
No, I don't know. No, God, no. Tim did all the glass in the workshop 4 years ago. It's fine. It's just winter, and the fact that I can only afford to have the heating on for 33 seconds a day. So,
really,
exactly. Sorry,
really,
yeah, 33 seconds a day. I'm that extravagant, so I wouldn't mind. But I have people come round just to warm themselves on the radiator for the the mere seconds it's on before they go back to their little igloos. So anyway, welcome to 21st century Britain, everybody.
Yeah. Welcome to Broken Britain.
Broken Britain. Anyway, how are you this evening?
I'm all right, actually. Yeah, not too bad.
Clearly, you're wearing a t-shirt, so you're obviously warm.
What can I say? I live in a newish sort of 70s sort of house, and it's insulated and stuff, so I haven't had the heating on today. And
all right, don't rub it in, mate.
Well, it's just what can I say? I have had the heating on occasion, and I have to say I've been, you keep getting emails to submit your electricity and gas readings so you can get an up-to-date bill. And I've been avoiding that for about 4 years. And this week I thought, I've got to do it at some point. And I sort of braced myself for whether I had enough savings or not to make up the money I've clearly overspent and not registered. And it turned out to be 170 quid in credit. So, I say, not unfortunately, very fortunately for me, John, I live in a house that the water's on for an hour and a half a day, and the heating has been on for the odd hour here and there all through winter. So it's fine for me.
No, it's nice and warm. Actually, in the office, it's nice and warm. In the front room, it's warm. Up in the library is brilliant. The library has now become Derp's own state room because he loves it up there. It's just the workshop. There's no heating in the workshop, and it's very cold. Anyway.
Yes, but it's like an outbuilding as well, isn't it? It's an outbuilding that's not well insulated anyway, so it's never going to be. I would imagine there's kind of like a hard border, but even between there and where your Mac is, it's probably warmer where your Mac is than.
Anyway, look, people are tuning in, thinking we tune in for the modern content, and all we've got is two kind of like two Brits talking about the weather.
I don't think people tune in for the modelling content anymore. If I'm honest, I think the modelling content is incidental to the rest of what we talk about. I think people really tune in for that.
We do have quite a bit of modelling content.
Answers in the comments, people.
Answers in the
comments. Do you like just us wittering, or do you want more modelling?
Yes.
Do you want actual modelling on this, or do you just want?
Yes, we're going to do. I'm going to contractually fulfil my obligations here and talk about actual modelling. And look at this. Look. We have partially.
Oh, is that the Disney? Is that the clown car?
It's the clown car, right? And we're almost done here now. We've still got a few bits and pieces to go on it. Now, I have been extraordinarily clever, and I've deviated from modest, yeah, as I never tire of telling people. And I've deviated from the instructions somewhat. I've been able to build up the engine compartment and pop the radiator in and everything. So that's now a complete sub-assembly. So the idea is that I can paint the engine, this beautifully detailed engine, separately, and then I can just drop that in place like so. That just goes in there like so. Then I can take that, and that drops in on top of that, and
It's actually a little bit bigger than I was expecting.
it's about halfway between a Jeep and one of those GMC motor carriages. You know the ones I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
Ones that
I genuinely thought it was Jeep sized, but it's actually
yeah,
it's wider and longer, isn't it, than a Jeep?
yeah. It's
So-
still quite petite though. But what I did was, because I wanted to show off that engine, because that's quite a nice engine in there, I took one of the engine panels and, using references I saw on that internet, I scored it and separated it, then glued it back in the kind of like slightly open position, so it's actually
so
kind
that we
of
can
folded
see
in
the
on itself.
engine. So that we can see the engine.
So we can see the engine. So the idea is eventually that will pop on there like so, and then you can see the engine. So, and also all the sink marks that are on the inside of the side panels there are sink marks, ejection pin marks. There are quite a few on the inside there. Is that just get hidden?
They're gone.
They're gone.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah, I mean, ICM are pretty good with sort of working that kind of thing out these days. You know, so they're putting ejector pin marks, or ejector pins, I should say, where they're going to be covered. You know, it's
I will say, you probably can't see it. There we go. You can see there are some ejection pins on the inside of the wheel arches there.
yeah. But again, John, who's going to see that?
Well, who's going to see that? A, because the wheels will be in the way, and B, if they really do offend you, you can copyright, cover them with mud, hide them with mud. So, but it's been a fabulous journey. I will say it is a brilliant kit. There are one or two areas where they just don't quite reach Tamiya levels of excellence, and one of them is actually on the little baby wheels that are on
Little
this thing.
clown wheels.
They are just, I don't know if I can zoom in and show you whether it'll pick this up or not. They are just marginally misaligned. Can you see that?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, there's no locating pins. They literally just butt join onto each other with the hubs in the middle are the bits that actually kind of, align them. But there's no real way you can, you can kind of like cure that, other than that when you actually get around to clean them up, you get rid of the misalignment that way. So it solves itself, it does solve itself. But there are just little things in this kit where there are some of the items are broken down into two parts where you think, well, they could have been molded. Well, Tamiya would mold them as one. And there's little things like so. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm being very finicky here, but it is. Oops, Daisy, a bit too much. It is just an absolutely brilliant.
I mean,
kit.
for the most part, even if Tamiya would have molded that as one, you'd still have had a seam line to remove.
Yes.
So you are talking about the difference between 15 second sanding and 25 second sanding.
Well, I think we could probably even do a bit live. Let's have a look. Have I got, in the best traditions of Blue Peter, do I have one that I've prepared earlier?
Excuse me, people.
Deary me. Right, I'll tell you what. Whilst you're evacuating your passages.
No, I've got tea up my nose, and I've.
Right. So there we go. It's a slight misalignment on that wheel. So with one of my beautiful Infini sanding sticks, and this is the 400. This is the one that I just keep using all the time, and it's just
other makes are available.
Other makes are available, but
that's an Infini sander.
Sorry,
other makes are available, but that's an Infini sander.
I have you got any of these,
John? You need to look.
All right, no, I can't look because I've gone full screen here.
I'm paying far too much attention.
Yeah, so people can see what I'm doing for a change. This is very rare. You get to see. There you go. Look. So that was live on the internet oops Daisy. That's how quickly it's taken me
Well, there
to
you go.
deal with
Job
that.
done, innit?
Yeah, it's not even worth. I am mentioning it to note that it is there, but ultimately, that's it. We're done. We're finished. So, yeah, piece of cake.
Just to clarify, and a comment that's in there was, we'll know Drew is not paying attention, as you can see his screen in his glasses. I should make it clear to people that whilst the camera is there, the screen I'm watching is over there, because I've got a monitor off to the side that I use to watch what we're actually transmitting. So if I look like I'm not paying attention, it's because I'm not looking at the camera. I'm looking at the screen and what's coming through the, the camera to the screen. So yeah, that's what that is. And as for you, Mr. Brennan, we'll talk to you later.
What's Mr. Brennan saying? Come on, let us in all on the joke. I can't see. What's Andy Brennan said?
Evening, late again.
All right, okay, right. I'm with you now. Yeah, well, we'll cut him some slack. Also,
we're on time.
We're on time. Well, we weren't. We were late tonight. I will also say, just very quickly, that I bought the little paint set that ICM do, which I thought would be fun. Try it out, and got the colours and everything there. The only thing is, and this is a bit weird. I'll just zoom out a bit. Whoops, zoom in, zoom out. The only thing is, they give you 10072 US dark green, 10042 pale sand, 10052 whole red, 10039 rubber black, 10027 gunmetal, and some matte varnish. But then, when you've got the colours that they list on their instruction sheet,
yeah, that's none of the colours of that. That's actually a French green, isn't it?
Well, they actually list the whole the main vehicle color as 10072, so that's fine. We've got that color there. You see, I'm willing to accept that perhaps some of them were painted in olive drab, or a US dark green or whatnot, but you've got other colors here. You've got they prescribe dark rust 1051 for some parts, which is an actual ICM paint. So why isn't that in the set? Why have we got whole red, which isn't specified anywhere in the instructions? You see, we've got the pale sand. Well, that's not specified anywhere. We've got natural steel and gunmetal. We've got silver and gunmetal. Silver and natural steel. But gunmetal at no stage is specified in the instructions. So it just seems odd that they've brought out a set specifically for this kit, but the paints don't actually match anything they mentioned in the instruction sheets. Apart from,
it's a bit odd, isn't it? It's a bit odd.
Apart from the green and the rubber black, that's it. And having a look on it says 1042 and 1052 use for armored vehicle. Use for French armored vehicles. Well, what camouflage? Is that what they're talking?
Yeah, it seems a bit half-hearted, doesn't it?
Bizarre.
It's a bit half-hearted.
Not a whinge. I know it's a first world problem, but it's not a whinge. It's just a
it's an observation. It is a first world problem, but it's also a problem in that they're selling something specifically for the kit that doesn't really reference the kit.
Yeah, exactly.
At least in terms of, at least the Invader set has got, the colours included are US dark green, US tan, US extra dark green, and black are the main colours, which is the 4 camouflage colours of a counter Invader. So, in terms of reference, it's exactly right. And there's also a silver and a satin varnish. So I don't
get that. I don't understand what their thinking is there. Yeah. So,
no,
anyway.
it's a bit half-hearted, if I'm honest. But
it's strange. Anyway, so what have you been working on then?
Well, I've started playing. I haven't got a top-down camera this evening because it's my actual desk is a bit of a mess and I didn't clean it up in time. So I'm playing around with the IBG Dora 15, Focke-Wulf FW190 Dora 15, and it's all building lots of little, sub-assemblies like engines and things like that. And
yeah, I know all about sub-assemblies and engines. Thank you.
And sort of, interior there with the big wing spar that everything locks onto. I have to say that I think it's a beautiful model, and you know there's a but coming. I can't help thinking it's perhaps a little bit overly fussy in some areas, in some things that would possibly have been better served addressed in a more conventional manner, should we say. It's like you know, they would have you join the fuselage halves with the interior in it, that big wing spar, then glue the lower wing onto that wing spar and fuselage, then slide the upper wings along that wing spar on and glue it, and it all just feels a bit kind of it's a bit fussy. It's a bit unnecessary as a construction method, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And also a lot of the photo etch is very, very thin indeed, and very easily distorted. So a lot of some of the internal wing stringers and the undercarriage leg locking mechanism, that's all in folded etch, and it's very, very fragile. So I promptly scanned it and went, and I've sort of designed some in 3D printed my own to replace the kit parts, which isn't you know, I mean, I've got a lifetime supply there really, because it's only about.
I know you're a big fan of photo etch.
Oh, I think some of the photo etch in the kit, yeah, it's fine. You know, it's appropriate, but some of it, you know, I mean, I think Edouard did the undercarriage locking mechanism and stringers in undercarriage bay detail in plastic in their kit 4 or 5 years ago, and it looks absolutely fine in the kit. It assembles well, and so we know that given that the IBG Doras are in the ballpark of being the same quality of tooling, we know they can do it. So we know it's possible. So I think Jim Alter got there, dare I say, over-engineered. I mean, they're parts that in this day and age you'd expect to be in that kit, because we all know what a Focke-Wulf 190's wheelbase look like these days. So it's not that there's too many parts. I'm just questioning the choice of materials that have been used in some of those parts. And the over-engineered, weirdly engineered rather than over-engineered, if that makes sense as well. There's some weird engineering, and also, you know, I mean, this is, I don't know if you can see, but there's a definite warp to the fuselage, and that's because the plastic is so incredibly thin around the cockpit area. It's absolutely not gonna matter at all. It's all gonna pull into place fine when you start gluing it together. But it's just, when I've just come away from building the Armour P51B, which is absolutely stupendous in every possible way, this is beautiful, but it's not as good. And when you come away from something that is that beautiful, something not quite as good, you notice it more. You know, if I built this before the P51B, I'd probably be more than impressed.
It's kind of like if the Armour P51B is Rush to IBG's Dream Theatre Focke-Wulf 190, in as much as 190,
no, let's not be that harsh.
It's good, but it's just a bit overly complicated.
Yeah, it's just it's difficult, because you don't want to sound, you know, I don't want to sound like I'm disappointed. I'm not disappointed. I'm just it feels
we're talking about degrees of excellence now.
Yes,
aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. We are talking about very, very slight degrees of excellence. But when you've come away from something as utterly stupendous as that Armour P51B, it kind of, you notice it. You notice it. So yeah, it's but you know, once I've got another set of, because I've been refining those over the course of the day, and I've got another set printing at the moment to to refine some of the detail and make it fit a bit better. And then once that's done, I'll have a lifetime supply of them for. I'm getting an echo there, John.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hearing my voice echoing back through.
Turn your speakers down.
No, I'm hearing it on yours.
On mine?
Yes, and I'm not
Okay.
now. It's gone now.
Anybody else experiencing an echo? No. Okay. Jeff Baker says also other boxing of the Lafley listed, so they may have the camo scheme. Yeah, quite possibly, Jeff. It's just a bit weird that, like I say, ICM have aimed this one specifically at this kit, but then I don't know. Like I say, it's honestly, I'm not having a whinge. I'm just making I'm making an observation that it just seems a bit out of kilter. Dave Mummery says he heard it, and Christian Jarrah says ditto with me. Okay,
Stop now.
stop now. Weird.
Yeah, it was just a
let me
couple of sentences that I said I could hear coming back from your feed.
Yeah. Okay.
Like it was playing, like I was hearing it coming through your end.
Yeah.
So to speak.
I hope not.
Anyway, moving swiftly
Cut that
along.
out for a start.
Yes. Do you know what? I got halfway through saying that, and when it's too long, I'm too far along to stop. But I know where this is going. I know where this is going.
Right, I've just turned I've turned my speaker volume down here, so just in case it is playing catch up on my one. Right, shall we get on with? We've got some stuff to talk about tonight, and already my battery is down to 58%. For goodness sake,
On what?
I don't get that. It's a fully charged battery on the MacBook, and it's already down to 58%, and it shouldn't be. Might have to have a timeout, go upstairs, and get the power cables again. So
plug all these things in.
They're fully charged.
Plug all these things in.
No. Anyway, look, that's we're going to do a bit of catch up again from Wednesday night, because Spencer got to talk about these, but you didn't. So I'm giving you a crack of the whip on this, and that is of the Tamiya releases, the two that I know have definitely caught your eye, and that is the.
Yes, yeah. I mean, thing is, you would have expected them to do this, but nothing's ever set in stone with Tamiya, is it? So
they are loyal to themselves.
Whilst I was looking at the breakdown and thinking, clearly it's broken down to allow this. Until Tamiya actually announce it, it means nothing. And we can reference that with the twin seat F16, can't we? But I mean, Tamiya announced this week, and I'm exceedingly happy. I know some people have started pointing out some very minor issues with it, but that we live in such times that such minor issues are the things we've got to complain about. Shows the times we're living in. So yes, I want this, and I want it ASAP. And I love Lightnings.
But again, a bit like the F14 is that when you looked at previous F14 kits in 48 scale, but previous F14 kits across the history of F14 kits, there were always going to be areas that always trip you up somehow with fit and everything. And then Tamiya came along and went, oh, F14s, piece of cake.
Here's one.
And then we look at P38s, and P38s tend to be horrible when it comes to alignment and fit.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't think of a single P38 kit that you either haven't wanted to throw at the wall, or you've had to end up, having black magic rituals to get the things to hang together.
I know even the Hasegawa kit from the mid-90s, which is generally regarded as a fabulous model, it could be an alignment nightmare.
Yeah. Whereas this, modern cliche,
it's phenomenally good. And like I say, I built the F when it was released. And I very, very much want a J, because the J is the most widely produced. The J and the L, I should say. There were more L's produced than J's actually, but it's the one that from sort of late 1943 through 1944 was the major one, certainly in service in Europe and the Pacific as well, and did a lot of the work in 1944 over Europe. Plus, some of my what I really want to do is Scat 3, which is Robin Old's Lightning, before he went on to Mustangs. which isn't an option in the kit, but I'm sure somebody will be along with markings for Scat 3 in due course. Yeah, I mean, this is specifically a P38J, but the parts are broken down as with the F, which is broken down to allow a J to be done. They've done the J, and I would fully expect, probably in the same way that they did the P38H as a white box, I would expect a white box P38L at some point after this, because it needs, I mean, the major differences are the wing leading edges, which are separate in the kit anyway. So separate wing leading edges and underside of the wing to allow the landing lights and the dive flaps on the underside of the wing to be incorporated. So yes, very, very important release. I think it's going to make a lot of people very happy. I know some people have identified that they've kept the old style radio setup in the cockpit, which is inapplicable to this particular variant. But like I said, somebody will address that, and that we live in such times that the radio outfit in the cockpit is the sort of thing we've got to complain about. Shows the sort of times we're living in, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, but be realistic though. I mean, you know, do you really think this Tamiya P38 is going to be popular with the aftermarket and decal producers? Really, you know?
Well, you know, it's a bit of a chancy one, isn't it?
It's a niche subject, isn't it? Really, you know.
Yes, but it does look glorious, doesn't it? In that, especially in that metal scheme, it does look fantastic. So yes, I very much want to get one of these as soon as I possibly can, and go to work on it, shall we say?
I as I said to Spencer on Wednesday, I'd be interested if they started doing the Photo Recon versions, because I do think I do like them. I think they look great. I wouldn't be surprised if they got round to it. But then again, you know, we would not be surprised if Tamiya got round to doing this. Say people still waiting for their F-16Bs. So
there you go. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of, I mean, I kind of think if you want the reconnaissance ones, there have been some absolutely spectacular conversion sets released. So yeah, and you can see here this this set. So Pudgy, which is a very famous, is that Maguire?
Yeah,
I think Maguire was it, the flight pilot of that one. Put Maru is another famous one. So yeah, I mean they picked the they picked the obvious lightnings. Should we, you know, we should say, and that, you know, it makes perfect sense for them to have done that. So I think what have we got? We've got two or three options in the kit.
We've got Madge as well.
Madge is the I think that's a Warbond drive one that was in the US. But yeah, again, you know, a fully comprehensive decal sheet there. And I love the way they did the radiator faces there. Which actually looks, you know, there was X release for it and all sorts, and I found that on the P38F that looked absolutely fine. The decals looked absolutely fine once they were in place, and you put the radiators over them. They look just fine to me. So
problem with famous decal schemes is that if you include them, people complain and say, well, why didn't you do something more different? Well, you know, we've seen those variants time and time again, as if, you know, there's only one generation of modelers out there and there aren't any new modelers coming in who may not have seen these things anyway. And then also and then if you leave them out, people complain that why haven't you included these famous schemes? So
yeah, I mean, that's, sorry, Tim there saying that's Bong's aircraft. Pudgy, yes, sorry, Tim, yeah, Bong. That was Bong's aircraft. You know, I'm fully behind the idea that major releases should have incredibly obvious decal selections. I think it's just, you know, because the enthusiast market is going to find alternatives anyway. You know, what would I have liked to have seen in that model? I would have liked to have seen Scat 3, which is a pretty famous one, but I understand why they made the choices they did. You know, it's like, why, you know, a P51 Mustang being released with, I don't know, big beautiful doll Louis IV, all those sorts of things. Yeah, it's obvious. Why would you do anything else?
Mhm.
It's just because it's what the majority of people, if somebody released a new kit of the F-86F in US Air Force markings and it didn't have either the Huff or Mi'kmaq Marine, I would think they were mad.
Mhm.
Because it's just that they're so obvious, such obvious choices.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, I mean, Scat is the one I would really like to do. So we shall address that in due course because he's my hero. So
there we go. Also, in their 48 scale armor range, and I know you like 48 scale armor, and well, let's just talk about that then, shall we?
Yes, this is I've been a fan and I've been very vocal about how much I like 48 scale armor for many years, but have always bemoaned the relative paucity of modern armor released in 48 scale. A couple of years ago we had the Abrams from Tamiya. Now they're doing the desertized Challenger 2, and yes, please. because it's a great vehicle, and it's the perfect scale for a piece of armor that is actually that big.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's a 65-70 ton tank, main battle tank. It's a big old bus. So 48 scale just feels to me like a perfect scale for it. And being Tamiya, I fully expect, like the Abrams I built a couple of years ago, it's going to be a weekend build. And it's going to come out looking fantastic. So was Spencer enthusiastic about it?
He was. Although I sensed that you were probably going to be more enthusiastic because I know you feel 48 scale is an ideal scale for armor.
I think it's a perfect scale for armor because it's just that little bit. It's big enough that you can get a lot of detail in it, but small enough that it doesn't take up. A 35th scale Challenger 2 is a big model. Any of these, a 35th scale Abrams, Challenger 2, Leopard 2, all these are big models.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that other people sort of start because we've got that T90 as well, haven't we? That somebody's done a T90. So we are starting to see 48 scale armor, modern 48 scale armor, sort of starting to trickle through a little bit more, and that makes me very, very happy. So yes, I want one of these.
Well, don't forget, Airfix did the Jackal, the Coyote,
yes,
and the Warrior.
yeah, they did, yeah,
and the quad bikes,
yeah. But I think with Tamiya starting to look more at modern armor in 48 scale, I think on a worldwide basis they kind of can influence things a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of hope that it's the start of a burgeoning 48 scale armor scene, because I could build a lot of armor very, very happily in that scale. And Tamiya did the T55, which kind of sort of is on the cusp of modern and sort of mid Cold War, I suppose. But we've got a T55, we've got a T90 now, we've got an Abrams, we've got this Challenger coming. So stuff is starting to happen in 48 scale for modern armor, and I'm very, very happy about that. So.
Now we have a bit of housekeeping here for a second, and that is it was a comment from Jeffrey Kubiak. I hope I've pronounced it right. And he writes, he says, the contents of the Tamiya F4B box don't give you a regular F4N, only a very early one. The key thing missing is the AN ALQ 126 ECM antenna suite. And then he gives us a link for that as well, because I think Spencer and I were talking about this on Wednesday, and I think we said that you can build an F4N from the F4B kit, but as Jeffrey has clarified, it's a very narrow one. It's not a regular F4N. So
yeah, I mean, people used to the assumption used to be that the only way the way you could tell the difference between a B and an N was in the elevators, the tailplanes, whether they were slotted or not. But that's not really true, because you could see F4Bs with slotted tailplanes and F4Ns. There's like people think that the way you can tell an F4S is whether it's got slats or not. Well, that's not true either, because the first F4Ss didn't have slats. In fact, the RAF's F4J UKs weren't F4Js; they were F4Ss, but they were ones that never got slats. So it's as with all Phantom things, you can never say never. The ECM, the intake ECM was a peculiarly Navy thing, apart from Greek F4Es, which also had them. So it's you really have to pin down which aircraft, which time period. Reconnaissance Phantoms never had slats, apart from the last 28 that went to Turkey and Greece, which were slatted. You have to know exactly which aircraft you're building from which time period.
Aircraft basis, isn't it?
Yes, yes, and it was like RAF Phantoms. Very, around 1990, 91, you could see Phantom FGR2s with slotted tailplanes, couldn't you? Because some of them were taken off FG1s and put on FGR2s. That was one of the things it used to identify the difference between an FGR1 and an FG1 and FGR2 was the tailplanes. After 1990, that wasn't a recognition feature anymore because they were interchangeable. So, yes, but no, I mean, Jeffrey's absolutely right. And they're not included. I mean, I haven't even seen the kit yet, so I don't know, but they're not included in the kit. So, no, you can't do I'm sure somebody's done some resin ones already, haven't they? Surely.
No. Yeah, I'm sure somebody's banging them out on their 3D printer at the moment.
Design some or whatever.
Absolutely. Now, we've got a new announcement. Well, it's not a new announcement this week. This has been announced for a few months now, but we've actually got some more details, and this is Micromere, and they're doing Westland Whirlwind / S55s in 72nd scale and 48 scale, and they've released some updated CAD of what they have been working on. Now, we've no idea whether this is the 72nd scale one or the 48 scale one. I would hazard a guess it's the larger one, but don't quote me on that, because it does seem to be rather a lot going on with that one, I think we'd say.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I've always liked the S55 stroke Whirlwind anyway. And it kind of, I mean, we were discussing this earlier, weren't we? I'm a bit confused as to why they're doing 72nd ones. But then we also have this argument, and a 72nd scale Italeri one isn't making them any money, is it?
No.
But certainly the 48 scale one, I would say, is more than welcome. The 72nd scale one will have some competition because the Italeri kit is lovely.
I'll say we'll come along to that in a second on the the various the various Whirlwind kits that have been released down the years. But this does look. If this is the 48 scale one, it does look very, very nice. It's the 72nd scale one. It looks spectacular. But
and that's the one you're seeing there is the earlier one without the kinked tail and with the V-shaped stabilizers. When it went to the kinked down tail, the stabilizers became horizontal. So that's an early piston engined one there. But that looks great, doesn't it? That looks great. That's a model that almost demands to be done with the engine doors open.
Yes, I'll grant you that one. I was just having a look. I can't find it, unfortunately, but there was those of you of a certain vintage may remember the Irwin Allen film, The Lost World, which was notable for the fact that the dinosaurs were all just kind of like poor lizards with plastic frills stuck on them. But they were flying around in an S55 Whirlwind, and it always made me chuckle was that when you saw everybody in the helicopter, they were sat in the cockpit 2 rows deep, with plenty of space around them. As you know, it was cavernous. If you've ever sat in the cockpit of an S55 Whirlwind, you've barely got room to break wind, quite frankly.
Cavernous isn't a word that springs to mind.
No, it is. I was just trying to see if I could find a picture of it because it's so comical. It's just like, okay, it's really that big. But this does look. Yeah, I mean that engine. Goodness me,
that does look lovely.
That is a work of art. That now we were saying that surprisingly, given what a ubiquitous workhorse this aircraft is, and it's another one when you look at the variants down the years and who operated it. It's kind of like throw a stick at it, and who didn't fly Whirlwinds of a sort or S-55s of a sort. But the actual number of kits of this aircraft are ridiculously few and far between. You go back to the prehistory of plastic kits, and this is from 1955. So this is close to 70 years ago, nearly now. Revell did this 48 scale-ish S-55, which actually soldiered on through the range, I think, right up till the 1990s.
Yeah. I think my brother certainly bought one in about 1979, I think, and that was in the photographed box. And they also released it with floats, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
They released it with floats. So yeah, it's an old classic, heavily riveted. I have no idea about its overall levels of accuracy or anything, but I don't remember it looking awful.
Well, it does say on the box there, scale from official print. So I think we should give them the benefit of the doubt that they got everything absolutely perfect.
But that had an engine on display as well, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But this, it's kind of, like I say, it's 48 scale-ish. That's your lot for this scale.
Yeah.
There hasn't been anything else.
I really expected Italeri to follow with a 48 scale one.
I thought they had. But anyway, we then go on to this lot. And they released theirs in 56. And there's a bit of an interesting kind of history with this kit, because again, this is it started off as a civilian Westland Whirlwind. And then round about the kind of like the late 50s, early 60s, Airfix actually popped some new bits onto the sprue for the flotation tanks for the Antarctic flight aircraft.
I like that piece of box art. That's a nice piece of box art.
I love that piece of box art. And unfortunately, when the kit was then repopped again later, when it actually was repopped like this as the Admiral's barge, the flotation gear bits disappeared from the mold. And nobody's quite sure why, which is a shame, because at one stage last year, we were looking at whether this could be brought back into the Vintage Classics range. I was having conversations with Luke, the R&D, as the researcher, to see whether we could bring this back in this original artwork again, which would have been fabulous. But it all hinged on, were the bits for the flotation tanks and everything still in the mold or available? And unfortunately, no. Nobody
gone without a trace.
Sorry?
Gone without a trace.
Well, yeah, whether they were just deleted and thrown away when the 70s reissue was done, we're not entirely sure. But have
we ever seen a sprue layout of that particular?
I was looking at some pictures of some polybagged ones, and the flotation gear definitely seems to be on one of the sprues with the on the same sprue as the rotor blades.
Right, then, so that would then suggest that in deleting it, they just filled the mold cavity in.
Yeah. So
that's a shame.
So hey ho. But so the Airfix one is coming back this year in that green Admiral's barge scheme, which is rather tasty. And then, as you mentioned, then we had Italeri around about 2000, about 1999, 2000. They did they did the H19, which, as you noted just now, is the one with the kink tail with the horizontal tail surfaces.
They also, but they did both variants. They also did the straight tail as well, because that was released in a Revell boxing, at least once. With I believe, as I remember, might have been US Coast Guard markings.
Okay.
But yeah, because the entire tail boom on that kit is separate. So Italeri broke that down very, very nicely. And it is, I've built that kit 3 or 4 times actually, because I like the subject. I've always liked the Whirlwind stroke Chickasaw as a subject. And I think I did at least one conversion to a RAF Rescue turbine engined one as well. So I think it's a great model. That is really one of Itilery's best of the last 25, 30 years. For me anyway. But it became quite difficult to find quite soon, I found. Which is a real shame. It would be nice if that came back sometime. But we've got a new 72nd scale one coming, so we'll wait and see what that brings.
Well, new 72nd scale and 48 scale. As I was saying, it's quite surprising that such a widely used and ubiquitous aircraft hasn't been looked at in 48 scale for the best part of nearly 70 years.
Yeah, it's an oddity, isn't it? It's an oddity. But then, I mean, in fairness, for many years, the Sea King was awfully represented, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And the Sea King's the same. The Wessex. Good Lord, Wessex stroke. Stroke S58.
I was going to say 72nd scale. In 72nd scale, really. It's still down to the Fujimi kits and the Airfix kits, and that's it.
For what?
Nobody else has done it, have they?
The what? The Sea King or
the Revell and Revell.
Yeah, I was going to say Revell have done it very well. It's odd how some of these types just slip under the radar, isn't it? And never get the attention. Never get the attention we'd like. I mean, Jeff's saying we're still waiting for a 72nd scale Wasp. I'm still waiting for a 72nd and 48 scale Wasp because I think we are long overdue. But it's finding somebody.
Well, I think the solution there is that when these helicopter kits get released, is everybody goes out and buys them, shows there's a market for them. So
well, that would be nice, wouldn't it? That would be nice.
Yeah. We're going to quickly pop on to the next thing. We're very grateful to Mike Williams for sending us some pics. So this is a kit that I actually went online this afternoon to see if I could get hold of one at a decent price, and I think I can. I think about 16 quid is the best price I've seen for this at the moment, albeit coming all the way from overseas. But it is.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, you are looking, if you include postage, it's going to be about 23 quid.
Okay, I've been seeing it advertised at £11, post free, ha. But then international postage to the UK is another £5. So I've seen it about 16, 17 quid.
You have the advantage, and I haven't seen it that cheap anyway.
Okay, I'll send you a link later on because I think I might put in an order for this and see what happens. However, it is the Flyhawk SBD3 Dauntless, which we've looked at before, but Mike Williams has got hold of a copy, and he rather kindly sent us these pics.
He's impressed, isn't he? It's fair to say.
I gotta say, this does. I mean, again, what have we had in 72nd scale? We have had the Airfix kit. We've had the old Hawk Testers kit. I think Aoshima did one back in the old days. And then the Hasegawa kit, but the Hasegawa kit is coming up to close to 30 years old itself.
1995, 96, I think the Hasegawa kit. Yeah. I built that, which is a very nice model, but clearly it's not. It's not as nice as this.
Well, it shows how things have moved on in the last kind of 25, 30 years. That Flyhawk are doing this, and if you can see there the surface detail on that with engraved panel lines and very finely done engraved rivets as well. Some people won't like that. Some people go, "Oh, divots," hey ho.
Well, that makes you want to go off and order one immediately.
Yeah, well, I'll send you the link, and like I say, I might stress test to see whether I can actually get one at the price that I've seen it advertised, or whether it's advertised at that price and then I'm suddenly hit for import taxes. But yeah, it does look utterly fabulous, and the detail on this is it reminds me of the Armour Hurricanes I've got here. It's that kind of nice.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it looks every bit up there with the Armour Mustang. If I'm honest, it just looks absolutely spectacular, doesn't it? So,
Although they haven't molded names on the rudder pedals, so points off for that. So
well, yeah, it's just shoddy. That is beautiful. Look at that.
Yeah.
That is just beautiful.
Now, there has been some talk about fuselage lengths and cowl lengths on this that some people seem to have found some kind of discrepancy. But having seen some of the made-up models, it's, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I'm not seeing anything that makes me go, ooh, ooh,
yes,
that does look
yeah,
good.
and I think that quite often is the point, isn't it? Quite often people will pick up, very small discrepancies, and you're forced to say, yes, okay, it's wrong. Does the finished model look wrong? We're not talking about a Hasegawa Sea Harrier here.
Yes, or a Hasegawa Tornado.
Yeah, we're not talking about that level of it looks clearly wrong. We're talking about very, very minor, very, very minor issues. But it just looks spectacular, doesn't it? It just looks absolutely spectacular.
And again, this is kind of like this is almost on a par with the 48 scale Hasegawa kit, which came out in the mid 90s, of which I
would say I would say it looks better, John. I'd say it looks better.
Yeah,
no, it's not. It's like I made the observation with the Armour Mustang. 10, 12 years ago, we'd have been complimenting a 32nd scale kit on that level of detail. And here we see it in 72nd scale. I can only hope that Flyhawk go on to do more. I'd like an SPD5 as well. I really would. But yeah, it's just this is the only problem I have. If you go back, that's the only problem, is that all of the US Navy aircraft of this particular time period was so incredibly anonymous.
They were, but they're also so incredibly weathered. So
that would be my only reservation. But that's prototypical. That's not, and that's fantastic. Look,
I can only assume this does get included in the kit. I don't know whether Mike bought it separately or not. Mike will clarify. Perhaps some people will clarify. But that does take care of the greenhouse, certainly, and the instructions are also very, and this is just a snippet of the instructions, but they are printed in color with various kind of sections and things highlighted, which I think is a very nice touch.
Yes, yeah,
beautifully done. And I'm just going back to I'm just trying to remind myself, yes, they have molded the dive brakes with the perforations in place, which saves you a drilling job, doesn't it?
Yes, a very extensive drilling job that never quite went as well as you'd hoped.
Well, do you know what? This is going back 100 million years ago. I built the Airfix Dauntless, 1997. So we're talking about 25 years ago. And I remember the dive brakes on that, because all I did was I just primed it, sanded everything smooth. It was just being built straight from the box. It wasn't meant to be anything other than what it was. And I can always remember I looked at the dive brakes and I was like, and then I just thought, what the hell? When I kind of put a gloss on it for, that kind of thing, and then I put a wash of red into the dive brakes, and then left it for a while, and then just removed the excess, and it was like, job done.
I did exactly the same with, I think it was the Academy Helldiver, which is a beautiful kit as well. But I did exactly the same. I let everything dry off, varnished it, then put a coat of red over everything, and I think I lightly sanded the excess away afterwards.
I'm going to have to quickly disappear for a second to break up a cat fight going on outside. So
I see Ian Rusko there saying, "What's in Mike's pics is in the box." So the masks come with the.
I'll tell you what. I will leave you for a second if you want to field people's questions, and if you want to deal with stuff in the comments, and I will be back in a second. So
go on, go, Lord alive. I've looked at some of their ship kits, some of Flyhawk ship kits. In fact, I think John Spencer and I were at Avon a couple of years ago, and we were daring each other to get one of the ship kits because none of us particularly build ships. So yeah, we were kind of daring each other, and I think we all chickened out in the end. But now they've started releasing models in our particular ballpark, shall we say, of interest. I think we all want a Flyhawk kit as soon as possible. Steve Moore's there saying, didn't Matchbox do a big scale one? Yes, they did a 32nd scale one in, I want to say 1979 or 80. Sort of about the same time as they did the 32nd scale Puma, I think. And I think Mike Williams has built that as well in the past. I seem to remember as a young man how Mr. Williams built that kit. But I think it's typically Matchbox of the era. It's quite simple and probably not hugely detailed, but builds up really easily and really nicely, and is accurate, I believe. But do you know what? It's one of those kits. I've seen most of Matchbox's 32nd scale kits in the past, but I only ever saw that on shop shelves when I was 9, 10, 11 years old. I've never seen it other than that. I don't even know if Revell or anybody have re-released it at any point. Yeah, Shane, I see you saying Flyhawk 72nd scale armor. I have got a couple of their little French things which come sort of 2 in the box, and they're about that long, but they're just fabulously well detailed.
Because they also do a Lynx, don't they?
A Lynx?
Yeah, the little Lynx.
Oh, sorry. You know what? I'm still, when you say Lynx, I think about a helicopter. It's,
yeah,
it's ingrained with me, I'm afraid. So, yes, the armor is Matchbox Dauntless, 1977. Okay, earlier than that.
But you know what? Actually, that Matchbox Dauntless, I've seen it in the box, and it's very Matchbox, but actually all that kind of, because it's got raised rivets and things on it, but actually it looks prototypical.
Yeah, like I said, I'm sure our Mike Williams has built that kit as well as a young man.
Mm-hmm.
I think he won a competition with it, if I remember rightly, and also had an A24 option, a French A24 option in it as well, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, what are you fussing about now?
Sorry?
What are you fussing about now?
Nothing. I was trying to find my bell.
Oh, were you? Hey. Yes. So yeah, that looks like a fantastic model, and I will. I'm trying not to order anything this month because I've got other stuff going on this month. So,
well, like I'm the same. I mean, all joking aside, I've got to, like everybody else in this country, brace myself to see what exactly the energy bill is going to be like for the next few etceteras. But I've just I'm going to be a fool to myself here, but I've just gone shopping here, and it is so you can get it from AliExpress, which some people say is they don't have problems with. Other people say they have innumerable problems with.
I've never had a problem with AliExpress. I wouldn't use Wish.
Right, but they're going to get down. They got it down there as £11.51, and it's something like £5 postage.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing that I would say is that whilst the on eBay it's a bit more expensive than that, but eBay do factor in VAT and stuff on their prices. They've done that. That's all. That eBay is such a massive concern worldwide that they immediately factored that in. So you will not be stung for anything you order from eBay from overseas because it's already counted in.
Like I say, I'm almost tempted to perhaps next month is order one and then see what happens. At the very least, we'll see what happens, whether you suddenly get hit for massive amounts of import tax on it. At the end of the day, if it's
I wouldn't think it'd be massive amounts, but I mean the most egregious thing, if you like, is the fact that not the VAT, but the fact that they charge you to charge VAT. It's that £8 charge on top. But like I say, if you do get it from if you do get it from eBay, you might pay more up front, but you know you're not going to get hit for import duty and stuff on it.
Rob Monfils said, anyone else getting a demand to send stars in order to comment? And a couple of people are saying, yes, they're getting it as well, which is on Facebook. Weird. I don't know what's going on there, chaps and chapesses. We'll check that out.
No, we're certainly not making any demands, although I don't see why you wouldn't send us stars because we're excellent. But
bear with me. I'm just going to go and I'm just going to have a quick look on Facebook to see what's going on there, because I get the feeling Meta have added a brand new feature.
Yeah, I mean, I think in fairness, you have to bear in mind that Meta have got a 200 billion shortfall this week that they need to make up. So,
oh dear, poor old Meta.
Whoops a daisy. Yes. Send 200 stars to see your comment here. What?
Weird. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, well, we'll have a look at that after the show, people, because that's it's nothing to do with us. Shane Weir says, does anybody ever know quite what's going on with Facebook? Not us. No.
No,
weird.
I don't think. Facebook is a law. It's quite literally a law unto itself, isn't it? So,
yeah. Sorry, I'm listening to what this has completely thrown me, because I don't know what on earth is going on with I don't know what on earth is going on with Facebook this evening. Dave Fleming says, if you pay stars, your comments get pinned.
It's like, why would we want the comments to be pinned here? It should be, it's a free flowing. I don't know. It's Facebook. What can you say?
It's Facebook. It's not. Well, I was just checking. It's not. It's nothing to do with the streaming service. It is.
No, it's Facebook.
It is Facebook.
It's Facebook. Send stars only to lock the comment in place. Pin it, not just to send it.
Okay. Well, I would say people. I would say people ignore the stars thing, and we'll get to the bottom of that and find out what's going on. So,
yeah, I think we've already got to the bottom of it. Like, ignore it.
Thanks, Facebook. Thanks for ruining our lovely evening with your yet another useless feature that bothers people. It popped up for me. Dave, and Dan. Dan would say it popped up for me, and I ignored it. If you can read this, yeah, it's fine, it's working. Just ignore it, people. It's just Facebook being Facebook.
Just Facebook trying to make some money from you again.
Actually,
bombarding your feed with ads isn't already making enough money for them.
Well, they keep telling us that apparently we can monetize from this channel now. So I don't know what that's all about.
Get on it then.
No, it's free. It's people should enjoy it for free. That's what I say. Right, we are up to, well, we've gone past the hour mark now. So, any other business?
No, not from me.
Are you sure?
No. Well, I'll probably think of something in about 15 seconds after we go off air. But anyway, whatever. No, I don't have any other business. I think it's another one of those shows where we thought we were content light, and then we filled an hour quite happily.
Yeah. Well, I've got the Lafley, which I should probably get around to priming tomorrow, and then work out what paints I'm going to use from this paint set of paints that aren't actually used on this model. Which, anyway, stop whinging about it, Mark. I will say yet again, it's kind of bite your tongue moment, but another couple of instances today of we've still got a lot of people returning back to this hobby, which is good news. It's great to see people either coming back or trying stuff for the first time. They ask for advice, and it's that same old thing, or we've commented on this before, is people overload them with advice. Well-meaning advice, but they just overload them. And in this instance, it's that same old thing of they're immediately told that the kit that they bought isn't a good kit, and they should go out and buy another one. Or they're then given an eye-watering list of aftermarket that they have to go out to improve it. or you know, and it just, what do you do? I mean, you pick, you know, they've literally, some people, they haven't built a kit before, or they've come back after decades and they have, you know, of building models, and immediately they're, you know, it's like people are trying to get them to build models to enthusiast levels of IPMS competition winning, you know, standards, and it doesn't work like that. It genuinely doesn't work like that. And I just think, you know, I try to say, build what you got, enjoy it, learn from it, and on the next one, you know, you can always, bit by bit, do the improvements.
Yeah.
But don't go in, you know, and again, you know, I'll put out this plea to enthusiasts, is just have a think about what you're saying sometimes, because it can genuinely, I do understand that you are trying to be helpful and you are trying to be encouraging, but sometimes it can be incredibly off-putting.
I will say, John, and this is a really important point, very often the people giving that advice are quite new to the hobby themselves.
Quite possibly.
They're not, you know, we're talking, I'm seeing it more come from people. I don't see it coming from people whose names I recognize, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
It just, quite often it's somebody who's come into the hobby in the last couple of years, and has jumped in with both feet and thinks that everybody else should be jumping in with both feet as well. Whereas I tend to find that, you know, the more experienced end of the enthusiast sort of side of the hobby, like you, I, and a lot of the people who will be watching this tonight, know that it's, you know, that it's pointless making that kind of suggestion. You're just going to overload somebody.
Yeah. It's well meant, and I genuinely understand it's well meant, but it, like I say, you can understand how somebody can just be, I'd like to learn how to play the electric guitar, please. Certainly. Here is Eddie Van Halen's Eruption. You know, and it's like, okay, I'll go and play something else. I'll go and learn something else.
Yeah,
like
no, I think that we need to be cognizant of the fact that a lot of the people making those comments are not very long in the hobby themselves.
But like I say, again, I'm not saying that to be snarky. I'm not saying that to be critical. I'm just mindful of the fact that, you know, we've got people coming back. Let's not put them off by being a little bit too enthusiastic sometimes. So
I very Stan Coddling there saying, same for other hobbies, 3D printing, you need to tune your FEP, heat your resin, the mind boggles. Yeah, absolutely. I've been printing today, Stan, on two of my different 3D printers, and I haven't tuned a FEP for over a year now. I just tighten the FEP into the frame and go. And I've certainly never heated my resin or anything. Well, it all looks fine to me, shall we say. But yeah, I mean, people come into a hobby and immediately start dishing out third-hand advice, shall we say, without really knowing what they're.
It's enthusiasm in the purest sense.
Yes.
And I think, you know, it can be a little bit, you know, if I'm trying to learn how to grow asparagus, you know, there is a basic way of doing it, and then there is the, you know, the incredibly complicated way, and I just want the easy way. I just want to stick them in the ground and forget about them. So, you know,
it's like 3D printing. The first thing that the non-enthusiast tells you when you say you got a problem, you need to level the table, or you need to level the print plate. It's like, really? Are you really trying to advise me that that's what I need to do to solve this problem? No. Okay. But yeah, it's just that think about what you're saying and realize that that people are here to have fun, not be. I hate to say not be challenged, but you know what I mean when I say, you know, not be discouraged, shall we say?
Exactly. On a similar note, people are probably wondering, why did the Matchbox Hawk of Fury suddenly appear very briefly as our cover picture during the week? That's because I suddenly remembered that this year, you ready for this? You ready for this?
You're year, say 50 years, aren't you?
50 years since the Matchbox Hawk of Fury came out,
PK1.
and I thought it would be fun to have not a group build, but let's just have a Matchbox month. Let's just have a Matchbox month where, you know, people can build. Well, no, people can build a Matchbox kit. They can share pictures of whatever ones they've built in the past. They can talk about their memories of Matchbox kits. It doesn't matter. We're just going to have a Matchbox month. I was thinking we're gonna have it in May because that's got an M in it, you see. And I thought what we could call it kind of like Matchbox month or something. You know, some kind of hideous, terrible.
It's a bit of a stretch, isn't it?
It is a bit of a stretch. I think we can have it kind of like May, June, the middle of the year. But I thought it'd be fun to just have a Matchbox month. And, you know, if people want to join in and build something, but it's not going to be a group build. There are going to be no rules. There are going to be no deadlines other than try and do it within the month that we're running it. And let's all sit back and remember the greatest model kit company ever in the history of ever. He said with a straight face.
Oh, Kyle, bless you. Hello from Alabama. You really do know when to turn up late, don't you, Kyle? I'm really sorry, mate. We've rang the bell. We're about to finish, Kyle. Many apologies.
But you can tragically watch this all on catch up. So it's all
yes,
be...
you can just give it 5 minutes and watch it on catch up, and you'll spend an hour in abject misery. But
there you go. Stan Codlin said Matchbox March, and David Mummery says on Flores we're doing an unofficial Matchbox March. There you go. Well, you know, it's not that we're jumping in on the bandwagon here, but you know, as you know, me, you, and Spence, we are the original Matchbox fanboys, so I think we're justified.
Yeah, we have a lot of enthusiasm for it, don't we?
A Matchbox month, you know. So, actually, we got a thing here. JM, have you tried the little 3M Sharpline masking tape? It's the same as Tamiya tape. No. Is that currently in the shops, John? Because if so, I've got to go down to Lidl this week for some shopping, so I'll have a look. Top tip there, people. Lidl 3M Sharpline masking tape.
Get thee down to Lidl.
Get thee down to Lidl. Yeah, exactly. So, on that note, it just remains to say thank you to Drew for turning up tonight. Don't worry, everybody. He's perfectly safe. He's there on my lap. It was a neighbour's cat was stopping him from coming into the back door. So I started the show with weather, and now it ends with cats. It's just... It is what it is, people. On that note, are you around Wednesday?
Yeah.
We'll see if we can get Reevesy on, shall we? That'll be good.
I think so.
I think we could, because he's got lots of new exciting stuff coming out.
Yes,
and I think I think we should. I think we should get him on.
He's long overdue for a return performance.
Yeah, he's getting away with it too lightly, quite frankly. Yeah, exactly. So on that note, as always, we'll see you on Wednesday. Until then, stay safe, stay out of trouble, and we'll see you very soon.
Take care, people.